Welcome, everybody, to the Wake Up Call channel. Michael Richards, most famously known for his role in the television show Seinfeld, playing the role of Kramer, is back in the spotlight. You might remember Michael Richards for other reasons, because the last time Michael Richards was really rolled out in public was for a racist tirade that he made during a stand-up set out in California. Now, Michael Richards' stand-up comedy in itself is absolutely atrocious, but at the time, it was a big deal. He went on stage, he started ranting and raving and saying the N-word. It almost looked like it was staged, and how convenient now, almost 20 years later, that Michael Richards is coming out to shame himself and talk about people canceling themselves and how he did the right thing by canceling himself before others could. And of course, that's what all Freemasons and all these members of secret societies are trying to do. They're trying to get you to control your behavior. And you might say, well, it's good. People do need to control their behavior. They're trying to get you to shame yourself. They are trying to get you to edit yourself and censor yourself. And of course, this is about the removal of free speech, because sooner or later, people are going to realize that the people who are behind all this division, the peoples whose motto is order out of chaos, are the same ones who are causing chaos. And those are the Freemasons. Donald Trump, all of these Republicans and Democrats are members of the same secret societies. They are the ones who are manipulating society through hypnosis, through all these fake events that they create, into getting you to cancel one another and to be miserable so that they can continue to destroy the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And all this stuff that comes back to words like the N-word, words that people are offended by, this is what they've been working on you for and with for a long period of time. To look at words as if they're more dangerous than an actual gunshot wound or being knifed by somebody. That's what they want you to look at words as. Why? Because they want to censor what people can and cannot say. Why? Because they don't want people to figure out who they are and what they're doing. And that all goes back to a certain group of people who you're not allowed to question. You know, the same tribe Michael Richards is a part of. I mean, all one has to do is look at the nose on Michael Richards, but Michael Richards is a self-admitted one, right? And you can see the cover of Michael Richards' book, Entrances and Exits, forwarded by Jerry Seinfeld. Oh, how convenient. Another one of these people you're not allowed to question. Another person who's rolling himself out and putting himself at the face of the conflict going on in the Middle East, of course. And we've seen Jerry before doing all the same signs and symbols that all these celebrities do. Why is that? Well, because again, the Kabbalah is entrenched in Freemasonry and vice versa. You could see Jerry putting the 666 over his eye. He's doing the pyramid. He's doing the all-seeing eye symbolism, the hidden hand symbolism. Of course, my favorite of Jerry is his wife/husband, Jessica Seinfeld, who wrote a book called Food Swings that Jerry so prominently put up on his Instagram or whatever social media account. And you can even see the donut over the eye of Jessica. Is anybody suspicious? If you were writing a cookbook, is the first thing you're thinking of doing holding up food over your eye? Right? A fake looking donut. If you're trying to promote food and everything else, put a donut up over your eye, right? Never seen that before. Of course, it couldn't be more obvious who these people work for. We've seen Michael Richards, of course, on the cover of Freemason magazine. How convenient, it says Beyond the Symbols, and he's doing, of course, I mean, he's literally, he's got his hand on his chin, another Masonic pose. He's been on the cover of Scottish Rite magazine. He's even posed with his little Freemasonic hat that you usually see them wear. The Shriners wear them a lot out in the open. He's even out there, during this time away that he supposedly took because he took himself out, right? He was, posing in pictures with other Freemasons wearing their Masonic bibs out in the open. So we know for a fact that Michael Richards is a Freemason. Now watch this video clip that aired on Entertainment Tonight to watch how they talk about behavioral control and how, look at Michael Richards. Even the acting in this is so just outright. I mean, this is borderline duping Delight from The Hook and Sandy. I mean, the fake tears. Oh, he was conceived out of some horrible act. All this stuff is all make-believe. These things that they put out there like this are to get you to change your behavior. They manipulate you into thinking this is bad, this is wrong, and they also want you to carry out censorship and cancellation of people who say things that might be offensive. And that, of course, again, is to protect the tribe that Michael Richards is a part of. Look at this.
Why now was the time to write your memoir?
I'll tell you, after that club incident, I withdrew, and I needed to, in view of that kind of behavior. What the heck is behind all this, and losing it the way I lost it?
I wasn't going to, but maybe we should just start there. Because if I'm being honest with you, Michael, I felt a little trepidation coming to sit down with you today.
Yeah.
It wasn't because of the N-word. I think it was because of the vitriol that was behind it. It was a shocking video obtained by TMZ that exploded on the internet. Seinfeld's beloved Kramer in a racist tirade shouting the N-word at black people at a comedy club in 2006. I have to say, I've been angry before, but I've never gone to race.
Yeah.
What was it in you that made you go there?
I'm white, that person's black.
Right.
I feel I'm getting hit and I'm gonna hit back. But it's all my fault in that I let it get that way, you see?
Do you still think about it, or have you made your peace completely?
No, I'm always thinking about it.
The 74-year-old told me he turned inward, studied history and religion, and went to therapy.
I think unwantedness got triggered.
Michael explains that trigger in his new memoir, Entrances and Exits, writing that trauma and an inferiority complex seeped into his career after learning in the late 80s that his birth was the result of rape.
This is very deep stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know about the rape, okay? So,
That's a lot to carry.
yeah, and, boy, it's such a... But it was the unwantedness. Okay, I don't know what we're gonna do with this.
I appreciate the vulnerability. I appreciate how open you
I
are.
don't know what we're gonna do. I got cameras on me now, and I feel...
Do you need a minute?
Well, it's just that I'm not trying to use the to be... I don't want any pity, I'm not looking for this, I'm coming clean with you because we're human.
You said you canceled yourself.
Indeed.
What did you mean by I
Yeah.
canceled myself?
Thank you. I'm glad we're going into this a little bit. You don't need to take me out. I'll take myself out. I'll save you the trouble.
So you can't make it up. I mean, the acting is, the guy's not known for being an incredible actor, obviously. Most people just think of him as Kramer from Seinfeld, but that's some of the worst acting that I've ever seen. But read between the lines with what they're trying to say here, because all these stories, all these things they do, this isn't for him to get out in the open and sell his book and to show his face. His book, of course, which is a memoir, has nothing in it about his affiliation to Freemasonry, right? You never hear any of these celebrities openly talk about their affiliation to Freemasonry. Why? Well, they're not allowed to talk about it. It's an oath that they take. Now, one of the things that we could all say is a positive out of the internet, even though there aren't many other than the fact that we can connect with each other, and we used to be able to speak freely on here, is the fact that we can find all of these pictures from magazines like that Freemason magazine, things that we probably wouldn't have found before the internet. Right? So they need to make sure that you never realize who's responsible, what their beliefs are, the tie-in between the Kabbalah and Freemasonry. These are things you're not supposed to know about. You're supposed to think that they're all organically famous, that they're all super talented and you're not, and that they know what's best for all of us. So they can come out and then they do things like this interview, the way that he's speaking. This is to manipulate you. This is the notion of canceling somebody based on a word. Just the notion that people are so offended by a word, by words, is utter insanity. Now, most of us grew up in a time period where there was a saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. You haven't heard that very often, but that's what we used to get told when we were kids. So in other words, if somebody bullied you, that you were supposed to be tough and you were supposed to say something back that'll offend him, right? Somebody calls you fat, you call him ugly. Somebody calls you this, you call them that. Usually, what most people would say to somebody was a word that started with an F ended with a G and had an A in the middle. That's what most people would say to somebody who made fun of them. Somebody called you fat, you just call them that word back. And of course, everybody would start laughing automatically because there was nothing more embarrassing than being called that word. But now we're at a time where that word could get you thrown in prison, just like saying the N-word or anything else. And they've made people soft. They've made people sensitive. And this isn't about them caring about you, caring about black people, or caring about people who like the fudge to be packed. This is about them taking one thing and then filtering it down so that hate speech could be defined as many different things, right? Have you noticed how they call people who are conspiracy theorists neo-Nazis, right? They would lump people like me and you, even if you're black and you're a conspiracy theorist, they want to lump you in as a neo-Nazi. That's how insane this has all gotten. But this is all to protect a certain group of people. The only people you're not allowed to question, the only tribe that you can't say anything about. Because if you do point out what's in their books and what they teach and how they look at the world, well, then people would start waking up to all the stuff that's going on. And they'd start seeing how everything that's going on in the world ties into the control mechanisms in their book. Even these things called the Noahide laws, things that they don't want you to know about. So that's where this goes, right? That's where this all heads. And that's why I say to people, why ever get offended by words? You should be able to say whatever you want to anybody. And if somebody berates you, berate them back. And if somebody says something really offensive to you, well, then take matters into your own hands. That's the way the world's always been dealt with. But the problem with that is that means that people can still speak freely. And they cannot push this new world order forward with people speaking freely. Because then people will wake up to the deceptions that are going on. Then when they start taking more control than they already have, which seems crazy to say because they have so much control now, then people would start saying, hey, wait a minute, I feel like they're overreaching now. I feel like they're doing a little bit more than they should. They're shutting my air conditioner off. They're doing what with my electricity? They're telling me to do this? What? I can't have a gas. Wait a minute. All right. I was okay with the stuff in the beginning, but I'm not okay with this. Well, too late. Too late, because once speech is removed, once everything goes through technology with the way the algorithms work now, you won't be able to express yourself. And then especially if you figure out all this stuff that we've always been talking about and who's behind it, that'll be considered hate speech if you ever mention them being behind all of this stuff, and they'll label it a conspiracy. So that's the reason that they've gone so full, so just pushed this stuff with racism. They started with that, with specific words. They're the ones who have convinced you that this word means something so big and so strong, and it's so hateful and so wrong. They've convinced you over and over and over again. Now, I'm not condoning anybody who says the word, but I feel you should be able to say the word in whatever words you want. So in other words, if a white person wants to use language like that, knowing what it means or it could mean to somebody else, then let the white person say it. But he's got to be held accountable for what he says. So if he goes up to a black person and says that, well, guess what? The black person can say what he wants back, or he can do what he wants back, right? Within reason, obviously. We're not talking about killing somebody, but within reason, which means wham, he wants to do it that way, go ahead. Because your words have actions. Everybody's actions have consequences. They don't want a world like that because they don't want a world that's freely thinking and not afraid to speak their mind. In other words, they don't want people like me and you out there existing, because then we ruin this whole party that they're trying to have here, which is really just nothing more than a new world order party, which is a party of, well, rules for thee, not for me, right? That's what I try to tell people out there who don't understand communism. It's incredible when you see these people talking about equality and equal pay and all this stuff they get sucked into. They don't realize that that this is for us, right? This isn't for them. This isn't for Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos to live like we. And they still go along. They're still like, fine, we'll let them have all the money, but my next door neighbor who drives a fancy car, I don't want him to have it. They don't seem to understand by destroying capitalism, it's capitalism for them that'll still exist, just not for us, which is enslavement, which is the point, which is why it's dangerous. It's beyond dangerous. Right? It's the same stuff with the gun laws and the gun rules. I would be all for eliminating all firearms. All for it. But guess what? That means they'd have to be wiped off the face of the earth. Right? That means the government can't have it. And the military can't have it. If everybody gave them all up, then I would say, fine by me. Then everybody gets rid of it. Then we don't have it. Okay, great. You can't have it where a certain group of people have that and a certain group of people don't. In other words, you can't have it where civilians aren't allowed to be armed and the government is. because that's where tyranny comes into place. And you're seeing it right now out in the open. You're seeing a government that's trying to censor speech because they don't want you to realize who's behind it, what the ultimate goal is, and what they plan on doing to you. So their foot is on the pedal because Agenda 2030, which most believe is now Agenda 2025, is right around the corner. And the people like Michael Richards are the ones who are telling you, you know what? Shame yourself. Cancel yourself. Don't let somebody else cancel you. Cancel yourself if you say something offensive. Now, we've all said things that we regret, no doubt about it. You probably told somebody that you hate them before when you didn't really mean it. You've definitely everybody's gotten in arguments with their mother or father or their wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend, right? And you probably said some stuff that you've regretted. Even if it was way down the line, right? An ex-girlfriend or boyfriend, you said, I shouldn't have said that a couple of years ago when we were fighting even, and you regret things you say. There's nothing wrong with regretting what you say. But canceling and editing your speech, this is all about revealing truth. That's what this is about. They're not trying to protect anybody's emotions. They're trying to get laws and rules in place so they can label things as hate speech that aren't really hate speech because there's no such thing as hate speech. They're also weakening society by having human beings not stand up for themselves, right? Going to Big Brother to censor what people say instead of saying, I don't care what that guy says. That guy's a loser. Let him say that, right? He packs fudge. Let him say whatever he wants. Or he does this. Let him say whatever he wants. I don't care, right? They want to weaken society. And that's all that this stuff does is it weakens society. And then people like Richards go on stage and they deliberately do stuff like that and tirades like that. Well planned out so they can come out years later and talk about canceling themselves and how others should cancel themselves, right? Instead of going, it's just a word, who cares? Why is this such a big story? Why is this on national news? Well, it's on national news because you can't believe what he said. Well, why can't we believe he said a stupid word? People probably threw that word around every day like it was the word the back in the 60s and 70s. Well, times have changed. Oh, times have changed. So what has changed? People become more offended by words? That's not a good thing. That's not progression. That means that people are becoming weak and soft. What has changed? Oh, well, we have to curtail, we have to hate speech. Oh, hate speech, right? How convenient that words that the government doesn't agree with are labeled hate speech, but the blind people out there can't see what the government's doing because they constantly are thinking about themselves because they're narcissists. So they think that anything we need to, censor what people say because it hurts their feelings, right? Because they can't see past themselves, which is the world that we're living in now. So Michael Richards, the acting in the clip was hilarious. How he was conceived, etc., trying to muster tears. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable that people can't see through these people. And you can see all of them, the connection to the Cabals, the Freemasonry, who's protected and who isn't. And they're the ones who are engineering behavior. Just by coming out and acting the way he acts, people don't realize that psychologically, that manipulates you. That's what it does, right? He doesn't have to come out and say, you got to do that. That's what they do. They make people say, oh, Michael Richards did this, and this is what happened to Michael Richards. No one's seen him for 20 years. Oh, but Michael Richards decided to cancel himself, so I should cancel myself. If I ever say something like that, instead of just going all the way back to the beginning and going, who cares about a word? Why is a word being said on stage national news? Someone's saying a word. We have people dying of starvation. We're getting poison from the skies every single day, but our concern is a word hurt our feelings. That's the ultimate problem. I thank everybody for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you as always and your families.